Jamaica in 1971 was restless. Elections were coming, jobs were scarce, ghetto youths were frustrated, and Rastafari was stepping out of the hills and into the heart of the music. Producers like Lee, Scratch, Perry, Bunny Lee, Clement Coxone, Dodd, and Lloyd Charmers were experimenting with echo, reverb, and stripped-down rhythm tracks. On the other side of the Atlantic, UK sound systems were blasting Jamaican 45s to black British youth and curious white kids in church halls, basements, and blues dances. Reggae was still new to the mainstream, but in the underground, it was already a language. A lot of the tunes we're about to talk about never became global hits. Some barely got repressed. Others were overshadowed by bigger stars and bigger marketing budgets. But together, they prove one thing. By 1971, reggae had found its voice. All right, let's drop the needle. Number 15, Lloyd Charmers, Reggae in Wonderland. This one feels like stepping into a slightly surreal late-night session. Imagine a small Kingston studio or a UK basement party. Organ bubbling, drums lightly skanking, bass walking steady while the whole track has this dreamy, slightly psychedelic mood. Charmers wasn't just a singer, he was a producer with a taste for playful, adventurous arrangements. Reggae in Wonderland comes out of the Splash label era. Part of the singles later collected on Reggae in Wonderland, the Splash Singles Collection, 1969-1971, a window into how producers were stretching reggae's sound at the time. Fun fact, Lloyd Charmers also cut some very cheeky, risque records under other names. If you dig a little, you'll find he was one of the kings of reggae double entendre. Why is it underrated? Because Charmers is often remembered more for his production work than specific tunes like this. Bigger names and louder political anthems eclipsed these playful, experimental 45s. But for real heads, Reggae in Wonderland is a secret doorway into how weird and wonderful early 70s reggae could be. Number 14, Bruce Ruffin, Rain. Picture a grey UK afternoon, early 70s, skinhead kids in Crombie coats and Jamaican immigrants sharing the same pub jukebox. Rain drops in, and suddenly the room feels like sunshine in slow motion. A gentle, bittersweet lover's tune with a rocksteady heart and a pop sensibility. And with every drop of rain, I can hear you call. Rain is a reggae cover of a Jose Feliciano song that Bruce Ruffin turned into a UK chart hit in 1971 on the Trojan label, reaching the top 20 and proving reggae could carry big, emotional pop melodies without losing its groove. Right now, I can hear the clouds, Fun fact, Ruffin had already been part of the group The Equals, and Rain helped him carve out a solo identity in the growing UK reggae scene. Why is it forgotten? Outside hardcore collectors and older UK fans, most people never hear Rain mentioned next to the big roots anthems. It lives in that space between pop and reggae that purists sometimes ignore. But if you love sweet, soulful, early 70s reggae, this tune hits like a rainy day memory you didn't know you had. If your answer is no. Number 13, David Isaacs, Knock 3 Times. Now we're in full crossover territory. Imagine a Kingston yard party, zinc fence vibrating, neighbors leaning over to listen, and on the turntable, a reggae version of a big American pop hit, but with more swing, more soul, more bass. Knock 3 Times started life as a bubblegum pop hit by Tony Orlando and Dawn. David Isaacs, a singer with a warm, easy voice, recut it Jamaican style in 1971, releasing it through labels like Punch and Upsetter, closely linked to Lee Scratch Perry. You look out your window tonight, Fun fact, Isaacs had already worked with Perry on earlier tracks, and his voice appears across different Upsetter and Jackpot 7 inches. Knock 3 times shows how those producers could flip any global hit into a sound system favorite.
I'll win my silence, I adore you.
Why is it underrated? It's one of those 45s that got buried under crates of other cover versions. The original pop song stayed famous, but Isaac's reggae interpretation stayed niche. For deep diggers though, this tune is a pure time machine back to the early 70s dance floor.
Work it on, baby.
Number 12. Dave and Ansel Collins. Double Barrel. Now we're talking impact. From the very first shout of, "I am the magnificent," you know you're in trouble. It's funky, it's raw, it's slightly unhinged, like a DJ jumping on the mic over a killer organ groove in a packed dance. Double Barrel was produced by Winston Riley and credited to Dave and Ansel, or Ansel Collins.
Hit the spot!
Released in late 1970, it hit number 1 on the UK singles chart in 1971, becoming one of the earliest reggae tunes to completely smash the British pop charts. Even more legendary, this was the first record to feature drummer Sly Dunbar at just 18 years old.
Your thing, baby, your thing!
Fun fact, the eccentric spoken lines and "WOOO" shouts from Dave Barker turned what could have been a simple instrumental into something unforgettable. Part reggae, part hype man theater.
Spin, baby! Move it up! I am the man.
Why is it overlooked today? Because it's almost too successful. Double Barrel gets filed as a novelty or old UK hit, while Deeper Roots cuts get all the serious respect. But in terms of reggae announcing itself to the world, this 45 was a cannon blast. Number 11. The Melodians and You, Roy. Everybody Balling. Close your eyes and picture a big sound system, vocal harmony tune on the A side, and then the DJ version comes in. The crowd roars, someone pulls it up, and the night really starts. That's the world Everybody Balling lives in.
And they cannot return it at all, 'cause they're all balling.
This track appears on U Roy's 1971 album Version Galore and features the Melodians' harmonies with U Roy riding the rhythm in his early toasting style. Produced out of the Treasure Isle camp, it captures the moment when DJ culture was becoming just as important as the singers on the records. Fun fact, a lot of early U Roy cuts like this were basically remixes before the word existed. He'd take a known rhythm and turn it into something completely new just by talking over it. Why is it underrated? Because when people talk about U Roy, they jump straight to Wake the Town or Rule the Nation. Everybody Balling ends up as a deep album cut. But for sound system culture, this is the kind of tune that taught whole generations what a DJ could do. Number 10. Eric Donaldson, Cherry Oh Baby. Now we're out in the open air, a festival night in Jamaica, flags waving, families dancing, the whole island picking a winner. Then this simple hypnotic tune comes on, and everybody sings along. Cherry Oh Baby. Cherry Oh Baby was written and recorded by Eric Donaldson in 1971.
And I will never let you in a crowd if you say you love me now.
It won that year's Jamaica Festival Song Competition, becoming a massive local hit and the biggest seller for dynamic sounds. Later, the rhythm became famous worldwide, covered by the Rolling Stones and UB40, and versioned over and over again. Fun fact, in a 2013 poll by Jamaica's Cultural Commission, another Donaldson Festival tune was voted the most popular in history. But Cherry Oh Baby remains his most covered song, with dozens of versions recorded. Why can it still feel underrated? Because outside reggae heads, people know the covers more than the original. The real 1971 cut, with its loose, easy groove and Donaldson's pure vocal, often gets overshadowed. For true reggae history though, this is one of the main blueprints of modern festival and lovers reggae.
shine, power star.
Number 9. The Stingers. Give Me Power. Here the mood shifts. The groove is still sweet, but the lyrics and the title tell you something else is going on. This is the sound of people asking for strength in a world that keeps pushing them down.
Then why can't we love each other?
Give Me Power was released around 1971 on the Upsetter label, produced by Lee Scratch Perry. It's a raw, urgent tune, with the Stingers pleading over a simple but heavy rhythm that Perry would version and twist in his Black Ark Laboratory days. Fun fact, the rhythm behind Give Me Power was tough enough that Perry recycled and mutated it, turning it into different dubs and takes, a classic Upsetter move.
Each other, said we must give.
Why is it forgotten? The Stingers aren't a household name like the Wailers or Burning Spear, and this tune got buried under the mountain of Perry productions from the era. But for collectors and deep listeners, Give Me Power is one of those quiet stepping stones toward the more militant roots sound that would define the mid-70s. Number 8. Max Romeo. Let the Power Fall, On I. Picture a political rally in Jamaica, early 70s. Big speaker boxes, red flags, people packed shoulder to shoulder. The band starts up a slow, insistent rhythm, and Max Romeo's voice cuts through the air, calling for power to fall on the people. Let the Power Fall is the title track from Max Romeo's 1971 album, produced by Bunny Lee. Unlike his earlier cheeky hit Wet Dream, this record is straight political reggae, calling for change and justice. The song became closely tied to Jamaica's People's National Party, who used it as a campaign anthem in the run-up to the 1972 election. Fun fact, Romeo later became one of the key voices of roots reggae with albums like Revelation Time and War in a Babylon. But Let the Power Fall is where that political fire really starts to burn. Why is it underrated? Because it lives in the shadow of his later, more famous cuts like Chase the Devil. Outside Jamaica and serious root circles, people don't realize how important this tune was to the soundtrack of real-world politics in the early 70s. For true roots fans, this is essential listening.
All right, C-Trends fam, let's keep it real. We're pouring our hearts into bringing you the best celebrity news and music deep dives. But check it, a massive 98% of you aren't subscribed yet. Subscribing is how you can truly support us, helping us grow and create even better content. If you're vibing with what we do, take a sec to hit that subscribe button. It's free and makes a huge difference. Plus, ring that notification bell so you never miss out. Let's flip that 98% and build this C-Trends family together. Your support is everything.
They can't conquer me.
Number 7. Delroy Wilson. Better Must Come. Now we're right in the heart of hope and frustration. Imagine a young man in Kingston, tired, broke, but still believing tomorrow can be different. The rhythm is gentle but firm, and Delroy Wilson's voice carries equal parts pain and faith.
In a long, long time, why I can't make it.
Better Must Come was released as a single in 1971, later lending its name to an album. It became one of Wilson's signature tunes, and, like Max Romeo's anthem, it was adopted as a political theme during Jamaica's early 70s election period, symbolizing the belief that change was coming for the poor.
Thank God I'm not the worst. Oh, my people get to see.
Fun fact, Delroy Wilson started as a child star at Studio One, singing ska for Clement Coxsone Dodd, and matured into one of the most beloved voices in Jamaican music. Some call him the Crown Prince of Reggae. Why can a song this big still feel underrated? Because when reggae gets written up in short lists, a lot of writers skip straight from ska and rocksteady to Bob Marley. Better Must Come is a perfect example of how roots reggae could be both deeply political and deeply personal, and it deserves way more shine outside the reggae community.
Portraits and dust, we want more confused.
Number 6. Burning Spear. This Population. The vibe gets heavier here. Think of a hot afternoon, dust in the streets, people squeezed into crowded yards. The rhythm is simple and hypnotic, and Winston Rodney, Burning Spear, sings like a man carrying a message, not just a melody.
We want more convenience, we want hate.
This Population was an early Burning Spear cut, recorded for Coxsone Dodd's Studio One and released in the early 70s, around 1971 to 72. The lyrics talk about the pressure on the people, the strain of overcrowded, underserved communities, themes Spear would return to again and again in his later classic albums.
Where you have, we want more convenience, give it.
Fun fact, many of Spear's early songs with Coxsone were only properly appreciated years later, when collectors and labels started reissuing them, and fans could finally hear the full roots of his sound.
Where you have, we want more convenience, we want hate.
Why is it underrated? Because most listeners discover Burning Spear through Marcus Garvey, Man in the Hills, or Dry and Heavy. Early tunes like This Population stayed mostly on original 7-inch pressings and specialist compilations. But if you want to hear the birth of that deep Spear intensity, this tune is a key chapter. Number 5. Count Ossie and the Mystic Revelation of Rastafari. Rasta Reggae. Now we're stepping into the spiritual side. Imagine a yard up in the hills, drummers around a fire, Nyabingi rhythms rolling like thunder, and somewhere inside that trance, a reggae groove begins to emerge. Count Ossie was a master drummer and a central figure in bringing Rastafarian ritual drumming into Jamaican popular music. On Rasta Reggae, released around 1971, he and the Mystic Revelation of Rastafari blend those Nyabingi hand drums with a reggae beat, creating a track that sounds like a bridge between sacred ceremony and street-level sound system. Fun fact, Count Ossie and his drummers also played on ska and rocksteady classics like the Folks Brothers. Oh Carolina, showing how long Rasta rhythms had been in the mix before roots reggae took over. Why is it underrated? Because it doesn't fit neatly into radio or club playlists. It's too spiritual for pop, too experimental for casual listeners. But for roots lovers, Rasta Reggae is a blueprint for consciousness in the music. A track where the heartbeat of the drums and the message of Rastafari meet the reggae groove. Number 4. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Sun is Shining. Yeah man, we are going to talk about Bob, but not the same 3 songs everybody else uses. Sun is Shining is a different kind of classic, a gentle, meditative groove with a melody that feels like first light breaking over the hills. Fun fact, decades later, the song would be remixed into a big dance track in the late 90s and beyond, introducing it to a whole new generation who had no idea they were vibing to a 71 roots tune. Why is it underrated in this context? Because Sun is Shining often gets treated as a chill background song next to more obviously militant tracks like Get Up, Stand Up. But in terms of 1971's shift towards spiritual, reflective roots reggae, this is one of the gentlest, most powerful statements. Number 3. The Abyssinians. Poor Jason White. Here the vibe is deep, eerie, and mournful. Imagine a late-night sound system session, the crowd going quiet as a minor key horn line floats over a slow, rocking rhythm. A story unfolds about a youth named Jason White, and suddenly the music feels like a news report, a prayer, and a warning all at once. Poor Jason White, was recorded at Federal Records and first released by Coxsone Dodd on the 1971 compilation Solid Gold, before later appearing on versions of the Abyssinians' classic Sata Masagana album. It tells a real-life story of a boy from Trelawney, and the harmonies carry that blend of Rastafari spirituality and street tragedy the group is known for. Fun fact, the Abyssinians are most famous for Sata Masagana, but among serious fans, Poor Jason White is often named as one of their most emotionally powerful songs. Why is it underrated? Because it's overshadowed by Sata and not as widely reissued or playlisted. Casual reggae listeners can go their whole lives without hearing it, but once you do, it stays with you. One of those tunes you never quite shake off.
Where I'm from, and I know she can't be wrong. Take me back.
Number 2, Junior Byles, A Place Called Africa. Now we're right at the heart of roots consciousness. Picture a young man in Kingston, looking across the ocean in his mind, dreaming about a land he's never seen but feels deeply connected to. The rhythm is slow, steady, almost meditative. His voice is tender but full of pain.
She said once upon a time, my son, they told us.
A Place Called Africa is one of Junior Byles' early roots masterpieces, recorded with Lee Scratch Perry and appearing on Trojan Upsetter releases in the early 70s. The song is a conversation between Byles and his mother about why they are not in Africa and why the world is the way it is. It's a pure Rastafari and Pan-African meditation, years before some of these ideas became common in mainstream reggae.
Work and slave each day, the boss he took a pay. But
Fun fact, the rhythm and theme were strong enough that other artists later cut versions like Chapter 3 of Africa and Jah Rastafari, expanding the story across multiple takes.
she said,
Why is it underrated? Because Byles himself had a troubled life and never became as globally famous as Marley or Burning Spear. Much of his catalog circulated mainly on reissues and specialist compilations. But among roots devotees, A Place Called Africa is considered one of the purest, most heartfelt statements of black identity and longing ever put on record.
To get you in the lion's den.
Number 1, Junior Byles, Beat Down Babylon. If there's one song that feels like 1971 standing up and speaking with a brand new voice, it's this. Picture a small Kingston studio, smoke in the air, Lee Scratch Perry at the controls, and Junior Byles stepping up to the mic with fire in his eyes. The rhythm is slow but relentless. The bass line walks like a protest march.
Sunshine, Jah will be mine. Come
Beat Down Babylon is the title track from Junior Byles' 1971 album, produced by Lee Perry and widely hailed as one of the strongest roots records of the era. The song calls for the destruction of Babylon, the system, the corruption, the oppression, not with blind rage, but with calm, determined conviction. Many critics and fans see it as one of Perry's finest productions and Byles' defining statement.
Jah will be mine. Come rain or come
Fun fact, the album Beat Down Babylon is packed with killers, A Place Called Africa among them. But for years it was hard to find outside serious collector circles. Reissues and compilations only recently started giving it the respect it deserves.
come rain or come sun.
Why is it the perfect number 1 here? Because this is 1971's voice. Spiritual, political, deeply rooted in Rastafari, but still accessible and musical. It's not hype, it's not gimmick. It's a man calmly saying, this system must fall, over a rhythm that feels like it could play forever. For real reggae heads, Beat Down Babylon isn't just a song, it's a foundation stone.
Jah will be mine. Come rain or come sunshine.
Drop your picks in the comments, share this with another reggae lover. And if you want more deep dives into roots, rockers, and underrated anthems, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next session.